book and a bev.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Slutty Saturdays with a book and a bev.
I love that.
Oh dear, we've got our beautiful Claire back. Yay! Finally back.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. We're very excited to have her back for this episode, and what an episode it is indeed. I'm going to start off this week by saying that we are reading Sabotage by Shantel Tessier, this one right here. Thank you, Shantel, for doing the Lord's work. And let me just say, this book is degradation central. If you don't like being called a dirty slut, this isn't for you.
No.
But if you're open to all types of kinks, then say hello to a hell of a lot of fucking smut. So yes, indeed. So we're going to dive balls deep right in, just as the book does. And we're going to see what everyone is drinking tonight. So what's everyone drinking? Claire, what are you drinking?
Oh,
Drinking sort of like a gin and Red Bull combo. Which I don't recommend. It's not the greatest, but you know, it would do the job.
I feel like that's going to give you a heart attack.
Well, I am drinking White Claw because it's got no sugar, and because Georgia had the amazing idea that we should do shots.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be shotting Midori, and I
Ooh,
thought I would
yeah.
balance out the sugar content.
That's a smart plan.
I'll just quickly jump in and tell you guys what I'm drinking this afternoon, this lovely evening. So, I am drinking what I call is the dirty slut. And it's basically where I take a shot every single time someone says the word dirty or slut
It's going to be a lot of shots.
in this book, which is a lot. It is going to be a lot of shots. So, what I'm shotting is...
In the fancy glass,
baby.
mind you.
Yeah, look, this is just what I'm drinking to, like level it out. So this is Cruiser. And then what I'm shotting is CC because that's the only strong spirit I had. So it will be an interesting night. And this is why I wanted to do it on a Saturday. So when I get absolutely legless, I can just pass out in the spare bedroom and it's fine.
Well,
Slutty Saturdays.
Slutty Saturday, all round. It doesn't take much to convince me these days. So when Georgia said I'm doing shots, I was like, yes, say less. So I've gone the opposite of Georgia. I am drinking Canadian Club during the episode. I then also have cruises, and I also have vodka on one of the shelves behind me, which I will be shotting at some point. Not sure how many. Vodka makes me very mean. I banned myself from it 9 years ago, and this is the first time that I'm going back to it, so apologies. There's no one here for me to push anyway, so it should be fine.
I'll just quickly jump in and just let you guys all know that we are actually testing out a new recording system. So if something fucks up or if we sound stupid and this episode is just a total bust, we apologise severely, but you can blame Riverside for this.
Riverside,
And if it's
motherfuckers.
great, I'm so anxious.
I think I
don't know
derailed
why I'm
that.
anxious. All right.
Yeah, look, it may be for the content.
Look, I mean, it's very intense. It is relentless fucking. And not just, actually, I don't think there was a single instance of missionary in this entire book.
No.
It was just, again, I did that thing where I didn't read the blurb and I didn't read the trigger warnings and I just went straight in and I read it in 3 hours. The entire thing. Overall, look, it doesn't get me like Priest. Like, there was, even with the weird shit in Priest, there were some bits where I was like, ooh, there was no sex scenes in this book that made me get hot under the collar or that turned me on. And I wanted there to actually, the only bit that piqued my interest, weirdly enough,
Was it the
was
murder?
the prologue.
Oh, I was
No,
thinking about-
not the murder.
Was it the murder?
No, not the murder. It was the prologue. And I was like, 4 guys, can we get these point of views? And maybe it's like a poly thing. Maybe it's like a harem. Nope, it was one time and then it was downhill from there. It's a lot. It's not necessarily my cup of tea, but I'm glad we're here.
Yeah. I think everyone was quite interested to see how I would react to this, given that Priest was a sharp left turn for me. If that was a left turn, I'm roadkill by this point. I don't know what happened. I will say I quite enjoyed the whole, let's go on a journey about being murderers and kidnappers, and now we're in some weird mafia gang. Okay, cool.
Yes.
On the
I wanted
journey
more
with
of
you.
that.
Let's do it. Can I tell you what I did not like? They're related. Why? Why do they need to be step siblings? Why?
Or only by marriage, not by blood.
He's your brother. There's literally a quote where she goes, I crave dick. It just so happens to be my stepbrother's. Fuck. And look, there's a
Indeed.
reason I'm not drinking wine tonight, and we will get to that. But I enjoyed it. Look, I'm here for the smut journey. I'm appreciative of people's taste. And it's not mine, but
Yeah.
honestly, if it's yours, I have questions. But enlighten me. Enlighten me.
Please don't fuck your brother.
You just don't fuck your brother. Really, it's that simple.
If you're together at a family dinner and he's not your plus one from an external family, don't fuck him.
Don't fuck him. Don't fuck him. And also, don't use fucking canola oil in your anus. But anyway, we will get to that also.
It's definitely an interesting book to come back on for an episode. I felt a little bit like I missed out with Priest and Sinner and all those to a degree. So this was definitely like okay, I'm here, I'm aware of things. But yeah, it was basically sex at every corner. I was here for it, not this, like, I'm the same, I'm not here for the, like, step sibling thing, or I'm not someone who wants to be degraded personally, but I was happy to read it. I couldn't put it down. I definitely did prioritize reading it over studying.
Fair enough.
Which we appreciate you for, my friend.
Yeah, I support your choices.
Welcome back.
So this book, it fucked me left, right, and good night. Look, I'm not one for intense degradation. I like it a little rough and tumble, I'm not opposed to getting thrown through a wall. Let's see how the night takes us. But this book, it fucking threw me. It did not just throw me through a wall. It threw me out onto the middle of the road. I got run over by a truck and then I died.
Oh, you're roadkill with me. Hello. Hello.
If you've not read this book, do not, and I mean do not listen to this podcast without reading the trigger warnings. I think that I need to mention them just in case you do want to continue listening to the podcast.
It'd also be
we don't want to stop you from doing that.
It'd be nice to know them, given that I didn't read them.
It's a fairly long list.
Rape, branding/cutting, sexual torture, graphic violence, and drug and alcohol use. So just be warned, this is not for the faint-hearted.
Oh, God.
Very much.
I was just going to say, if drug and alcohol
go.
use needs to be mentioned as a trigger warning, I feel like we need that every episode of our podcast.
Yeah, look, that'd be concerning.
Sorry,
Hopefully,
everyone.
because it's
Forgot
in the
to put
name, they'd figure that out. Bev.
That's very true. We're just a bunch of high-functioning alcoholics at this point. But carry on, Georgia.
In saying that, it's one of my top-rated smut books. I love Shantel Tessier's writing style, and I've read a couple of her books now. And as long as you read the warnings and the triggers, and you know what you're in for, then you know where you're going. It's fine. I think that with what I look for in a smut buster, this is what I call these like quick under 200-page books, is just to be enough plot to keep you going, but also crazy amounts of sex. And that did this for me, so I was quite happy.
Yeah.
I was quite happy.
Yeah, look, you're definitely, that's accurate.
So we dive in balls deep, literally. We start off with they're in the moment of something happening. And to explain that something, I'm going to give you a quote. One of my favourite quotes, actually. Giving her hair a little tug, I pull her head off my cock, and she keeps her mouth open, ready for me to violate it some more. Such a good girl, I groan, licking my lips. Amazing, brilliant, spectacular. Then we move forward. The next quote in this prologue, because it's a prologue, it's not the first chapter yet. The book hasn't actually started.
It's the prologue.
Right?
It's an intense prologue, but carry on.
The next quote. Say it, princess. Tell me that you're my good little slut.
Shot. Here we go.
And that you'll do anything to please me. Sorry, fuck me up. We meet the girl we meet Rayleigh Adams. she's the one being violated. And then we meet Colton, the violator.
So there's a point that happens next where Colton, the violator, makes Rayleigh lick up his cum off of the floor. Look, I'm all for cleanliness, but this is not it.
It is not.
And he said,
Go on, Claire, read the quote.
"Look at the mess you made." She whimpers, her body shaking with need. Princess wants more. A slut is never satisfied.
Fucking hell.
Starts off strong. It starts off
a bit too strong. But the first thing I thought of when reading this part was, do you guys remember that scene in Step Brothers when Dale and Brennan are walking home and they have to go the alternate route past the school bullies, and the school bullies are there and they're going, I'm going to make you lick that piece of white dog shit. And they have to go and they're like, we have to lick the white dog shit. And they're like, oh my God, they're licking the white dog shit. You lick the dog shit. That is all I could think of. Like her just being like just to the white dog shit, but it's cum on the floor.
Look, my thoughts reading this prologue, right? You're going through that and you're like, oh, okay, wow, okay, not even a hello. We're just right on that dick. And then, okay. But there's these sentences where it's like, the guy's near us, there was laughing, and I'm like, hold on, who's near you? Who's watching? What's happening?
Someone else is in the room.
And that's when we meet the other men in the room. It's after she's licked the white dog shit.
White dog shit, because there's multiple people present for that experience.
Yeah. It's the gang. It is Flynn, Alex, and Jenks. And this piqued my interest. And I'm concerned that it did. But here we are.
Don't be concerned, my friend. Everything piques my interest. Everything. So if that's worrying, then I'm fucked at this point.
So from this point, we tend to find out a little bit more about Colton and the immense amount of issues that he has. But from reading this book, I'm starting to figure out everybody has issues.
Absolutely everyone.
You're not wrong.
And he says, they know how much I hate her, and they also know I'd kill them if they ever touched her behind my back. What can I say? I'm a complicated man. He's the typical man that's like, I'm not going to have her, but you can't.
Look, he changes his mind kind of quickly on that, and he's like, I'll have it, but you can too. Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring.
And then his friend Alex, who we are now aware is in the room and having his own fun, he comes back into the room from going into the kitchen. And it turns out he had grabbed the canola oil. I wasn't here for priest and sinner, but can we keep one type of oil sacred to cooking?
Thank you.
Absolutely, we cannot. No, we cannot.
Yeah, at least use coconut oil.
You'll just like bring them all.
For fuck's sake. What is with the cooking oils? Canola.
We haven't even had the normal.
No one's even tried food.
Because also, let's just clarify. At this stage, he's got Rayleigh basically like a rotisserie chicken again.
Shit.
Over a formal, and it's a formal dining room.
It is
the formal dining room table. So her head's off one end and her ass is off the other. And he looks at his friends and goes, "Do you want to come over?" And they're like, "We want to come over." So they come over, and then they come over.
Do you know what? Canola oil is used for frying. It is a frying oil to be used at high temperatures, not for anal. Not for anal. I have no issue with anal.
Not in the anus.
Not in the anus. If you want to put things in your anus, go for it. You're not going to have any bad vibes coming my way. I support your decisions. Don't put cooking oil up there. There are a plethora of things. Oil is not one.
And we have established that oil, if it's not the appropriate time, can negatively affect your rectal tissue. So...
Exactly right. If you remember correctly from last week's episode, I gave a big speech about rectal tissue infections. Please go back and revisit.
But then Colton, I believe it's Colton, says when Alex is, probing the anus, Colton says to Rayleigh, relax, just relax and take it. And I was like, oh, that's a bit rapey.
It is a touch.
It's also like, oh yes, thank you for telling me just to relax and take it. Why didn't I think of that?
How about you lay on this table like a rotisserie chicken and I shove my dick up your ass? Tell you to relax, you dickhead.
So at this stage, again, just to clarify, she's over the table. There's one guy who is getting his dick and is going to put it in her mouth. And then there's another guy who's fingering her cooch while the other guy has his dick in her ass. Just so we're all clarified on the logistics of this, because that was a lot for me to wrap my mind around.
Georgia's doing air hostess directions as to where the penises are in the body.
Of course. The one bit that really threw me, like, you know, you're going, oh my gosh, this is happening, and it's the prologue. But no, then the men have pierced dicks, because that's the thing.
Okay, I missed that. I've never seen a pierced penis. Where did I get the piercing? I feel like that would hurt.
I don't understand the appeal of it, and I'm very unsettled. And Georgia, why are you nodding?
I imagine it would hurt.
Okay.
That's what I'm nodding for. I don't have my dick pierced, guys. It's okay.
Look,
I know.
again, we're still in the prologue, but the next quote we get is, Colton is, I look down at her pretty face and tears run from her eyes like a waterfall. Could be because her body is twisted like a pretzel right now. It could be because she needs to get off. And of course, it can't be actual pain. She's just a greedy slut. Lol. Oh, we're doing it when we say it as well? That's going to be dangerous. Moral of the story, the prologue ends and all the guys are fucking her and they're coming in her ass, and then one taps out and the next one jumps in and they come in her ass, and then he taps out and they come in her mouth, and it's like,
just a lot of cum. That's just a lot.
But she can't come personally. They don't let her come because she can only come from Colton. It's apparently one of the rules. But,
yes.
You know, that's the prologue. That's what you start with.
I am very glad we then get Rayleigh's opinions on this, because I read this and I was like, this is gang rape. At no point did I hear consent in this. At most, it's reckless indifference. I'm sorry, but that's prison. And then she's like, actually, no, like, I did quite enjoy, I enjoy having multiple penises in my orifices.
You do you, honey. Anyways, we go into chapter 1, don't we? Moral of the story, in background, Rayleigh is rich. But she's rich because her mum was a waitress who married a rich man. So she's cheap rich.
That's the way to do it.
And she thinks of her giant mansion as a prison, which is some white privilege shit if I've ever heard it. And right off the bat, we get the poor rich girl vibe. It's fantastic, said no one ever. But we do get this quote, and it's, do you ever get tired of being a woman? Don't you just want to know once what it feels like to be a man, to have a dick that can fuck whatever it wants and be slapped on the back for it, like you actually accomplished something? And she's not wrong.
I actually enjoyed her throughout this book and her like opinion on the fact that she's like, yeah, I like dick. So fucking what? I was like, good on you, bitch. Good on you, honestly. From there, we get what might actually be my favorite quote. Okay. And that is, who says that the man you marry and have 3 children with won't fuck your best friend in your bed with your wedding pictures hanging on the wall while he tells her he won't leave you because of the kids? Then what? I'll fucking kill him. That's what. Then I'll spend the rest of my life in prison while my mother raises my children and they end up getting bullied because their mother is a murdering psycho who was once a whore back in her 20s.
Whoa.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
I kind of feel
I loved it.
That's the way my mind works.
That's exactly who I thought of.
The biggest deal breaker of this book, in my opinion, well, one of them, let's be real, there's a lot. Rayleigh says, my mother married his father when we were in high school. AKA, they're fucking step siblings.
Can we just make a public service announcement that you should not fuck your sibling? Please. Please.
Again, if you are going to family dinners with them,
just
no.
Don't fuck them.
I mean, it's a thing to note. We can tell this is going to be an enemies to lover. There's also some kind of mention of video, which at that point we're like, video.
My favourite bit is, so at this moment she's in the car and she's pissed. And she's thinking about it, she's like, you know what? No. So she's getting out of the car and you're like, okay, so she's angry, she's stewing. Why is she walking towards his car? And then she pulls out a bat. So she's walking over in her red sole shoes with a baseball bat in mini shorts about to go to fucking town. And also note she's got a lighter in her bra. And I am absolutely here for it. Women's empowerment. Third wave feminism. Let's go.
But she says, and this is probably my favourite quote, 100%. You gotta look your best when you decide to show you're crazy. Otherwise, you're just another stupid bitch like all the rest. Any woman can allow a man to make her go insane. The point is to stand out, be remembered and feared for your toxicity. But look fuckable while you're doing it.
It is at this point I'd like to mention that Colton refers to her shoes as hooker shoes. I'm sorry.
They're expensive.
She's wearing Christian Louboutins. They're not hooker shoes, sir. Do you know how much those shoes cost? No, sorry. And if hookers are wearing those shoes, by the way, they're called sex workers now, Colton. Not sure if you're up with the lingo. Then all power to them. All power to them, sir. Fuck you.
So she starts trying to smash the window of the car with the bat. And I imagine this being me if I were ever game enough to smash someone's window. She can't do it. It just... But then she eventually smashes the window, pours gasoline in the car that she got from her car, also realises the car was unlocked the entire
The whole
time.
time.
And then she sets the car on fire.
And then we go straight from there, and like as she's in the middle of doing this, her best friend runs out the front of the party, and she's like, Rayleigh, what are you doing? Rayleigh's like, I'm fucking busy. Boom. From there, we actually officially meet Colton, who we've actually already met before. He was, he had his penis down Rayleigh's throat.
And then was making her lick the cum off the floor.
Hi, Colton. Welcome back. He's fucking someone, literally balls deep in someone when he's told about Rayleigh setting his car on fire, and he just literally yeets that girl right off his lap. Just literally, get the fuck out the way, bitch. And she's just like, ha ha ha, doesn't even care. Like it's a normal thing for him. So that's fine. So then we get this quote from Colton as he's walking towards his car that is on fire. He is talking about Rayleigh's hair and how it's straight instead of wavy, how she usually has it. And he says, I imagine walking over to her, wrapping it around my fist and dragging her into the house and up to my room, where I tie her face down to my bed and beat her ass with my belt. Tears running down her face while she begs me to stop before I fuck the bitch out of her. Then leave her there, face covered in my cum, unsatisfied and humiliated. That would teach her a lesson. But I also know that she'd enjoy that. And I'm like, right, okay, good.
We get another quote. I'm going to make her mine. She'll spend the rest of her life being my slut. A drink, Georgia.
Fucking shit.
So there's one way.
Oh, it smells really bad.
There she goes. And look, I'm not too sure how I feel about the ownership situation happening here.
Yeah.
Like, she's my slut. Like, if I don't want to be anyone's slut. I can be a slut, but I'm not your slut, if you get what I mean. That was also about 3 sluts there, Georgia. Off you go.
Fucking fuck.
But you know, that's Rayleigh's thing. Apparently, she's here for it.
Look, also on a side note, I think Ellie's found her way to be pushy.
She has.
She's found her outlet. It is at this stage that we find out that the video that was hinted at is actually a video of her being a rotisserie chicken, and that has been distributed by Colton to humiliate her. So everyone's seen this sex tape, and her vengeance is to burn her Lamborghini. I love that. Sounds good to me. And then Nate, which is Rayleigh's boyfriend, shows up, and I don't like him because he drives a Prius. And
What do you have against Priuses?
there's no logic there. I'm just like, no, that unsettles me. Turns out they were on a date, and he hasn't seen the video, and whoopsie daisy, he can't find his phone. So he came to find it, and then sees that there's a car on fire and has some questions. And that's where we leave chapter 1. Oh, God.
For reference, guys, we're 1 hour and 21 minutes into recording. Anyway, so she's hyped the fuck up on all this adrenaline because she just set his car on fire, and she's like, fuck yeah, let's fucking go. And he is like, you are fucking crazy. And we also find out in this moment that she stole his phone. She did. She stole it. We also, in this moment, find out that she loves sucking dick, which is like, you're a fucking liar, Rayleigh. No one.
Why are you lying?
She explains her taste. Say it like that because it's a bit unique. Just like how I just said it. So, I like my sex rough and dirty. Tie me down and make me beg to suck you off. Spit on me, humiliate me. Hell, slap me around and call me your filthy slut. I promise my body likes it.
Oh, she knows.
Georgia's taking another
But
shot.
also, spit on me. Ew. No. Rather you didn't. Sounds like unhygienic. I just...
So, she is ready in this moment for Nate to fuck the shit out of her. And we get this beautiful quote, which is just wonderful. He pulls my hair off my shoulder, and just when I think he's going to wrap it around his fist, he pushes it to the side and gives my shoulder a tender kiss. I refrain from sighing. Instead, I close my eyes and imagine that Colt is hovering over me, his hand wrapped around my throat, cutting off my air while he fucks my ass and calls me his pretty little slut.
And there
really
she
full
goes.
one.
Oh, dear God.
Basically, it was at this stage that Rayleigh wakes up the next morning after her disappointing sex with her boyfriend and goes, you know what, I need to go shower. And she is in the bathroom showering when she remembers the night that they recorded the video that went viral, which is the prologue, which was 6 weeks before this chapter. And in the memory, we get it in writing that this isn't my first time to fuck my stepbrother. There it is, right there. Pouring my shot right now because I'm having a shot every time they talk about the fact they're related.
That is definitely,
we
that is
go.
yikes.
Down the hatch.
So then, literally, yikes, boom, someone enters the bathroom. It's her stepbrother, of course.
Of course. Oh no, step bro.
I'm stuck in the shower.
I literally, the fucking thing is, he was just fucking someone else. Now he's like, hey, yo, sis, let's go.
The quote for that is, clean her off me and I'll fuck your cunt just how you like it.
Oh, no.
And again, like when they're in the shower, she's like, get the fuck out the shower. And he's like, but what about if we fuck in the shower?
Indeed.
And then they fuck in the shower.
I enjoy this quote. It makes me laugh. I don't enjoy it for like any other reason by the fact that I literally fucking laughed.
Shits and gigs.
So she makes me want to fuck her with my hands wrapped around her fragile throat with the intent to kill her. The only reason I don't let it go that far is because I know she'll let me fuck her again. And I was like, well, that is one way to look at it, sir, but I would suggest not strangling her to death. Might not be in your best interest.
I don't think he has those boundaries.
He doesn't, and it's just constant throughout this whole thing. I'm like, is he going to actually kill her? Like,
and again, that shouldn't be the vibe
It
with someone
shouldn't.
that you are being intimate with.
next quote, they're fucking. It's like, this is interesting. Everything's fine. He says, I want my cum dripping out of that sweet cunt, princess. That way, when you wake up in the morning with Nate's head between your legs, you know he's tasting me. And I was like, this guy has fucking issues. No one else would think like that. They'd be like, this is wrong. I'm fucking my stepsister. But he's like, I'm going to fuck my stepsister, think about killing her, but not kill her because I want her boyfriend to wake up tomorrow morning and when he licks her out, he's going to be licking my cum. That's
a
a good
lot.
one.
Look, it gets more troubling
It does.
to strap in.
This just is it. I move the wet hair from her face and look into her heavy eyes, softly cupping her cheek. I lean down and kiss her, taking what little breath she has away. My heart is pounding, my pulse racing, and I have the urge to force her under the water and watch her gasp for breath while it covers her pretty face.
Look,
And
that's domestic violence.
That is literally murder. So, we're bypassing the domestic violence murder situation. Wake up the next morning and Nate does not lick that pussy. Anyway, Nate needs to go home. We find out that after Rayleigh left the bathroom last night, Colton actually left a little surprise for her on the mirror. He gets her beautiful red lippy and he writes on the mirror, how do I taste? And we're all like, thanks, Colton, for that. Thank you. Of course, as I said, Nate did not eat Rayleigh out in the morning, and Colt was not very happy about this, so he goes to his friends, and he's like, boys, what's the first thing you do when you wake up with a woman in your bed? Eat that pussy, Finn answers. Spread her legs and eat breakfast, Alex agrees. Devour that cunt, Jenks adds, through a mouthful of cereal. I was like,
We then find out that fucking Colton has Nate's phone and he has so graciously charged it for him. So in the middle of the night, after his little fuck sesh with his sister, he went to Ray Lee's car and found the phone in the glove box, charged it, gave it back to Nate because he knew if Nate's opened his phone, he would see this video. So then Nate leaves and we think all is well, all is calm. And then he comes back and he's just like, so, why are you stuck in your step bro's willy? And I believe it is an inner monologue from Ray Lee where she goes, he's not lying about me being a whore. And why is that a bad thing? Why can't I just like sex and that be okay?
So look, Nate leaves the house and breaks up with Ray Lee, and that's that. Skip to Colton and Ray Lee have lunch with their parents. Oh no, stepbro. Oh shit. So we meet their mum and dad, and we get a flashback to when Colton first met Ray Lee. And the quote is, do you go by Colt or only Colton? She can call me whatever the fuck she wants. Flashback to the current time, and Ray Lee leaves the kitchen table in a bit of a huff, and she goes to her old bedroom, and Colton follows her. And look, what I don't like is that he's like, she's so predictable. I'm like, come on, woman, mix it up. But what I also don't like is once my girl understands that she belongs to me, she'll never need or want another man. And I'll kill any guy who even tries. It's at this moment that we're discovering that Colton's appreciation of Ray Lee has transitioned from hating her to hate fucking her to he wants to exclusively hate fuck her. It's very weird, but there's a lot going on, and that's the least of our problems because Colton grabbed some wine from lunch and he has some ideas about other things that are not another man could go in Ray Lee. So at this stage, he starts fucking her with the wine bottle while he's also putting his cock in her mouth. It's a whole time.
Look, the wine bottle thing, it just...
Two girls, one cup.
I've never seen that and I don't want to.
You don't need to.
What is it?
No.
Is it worse than the smut book?
Oh,
yeah.
It is so much fucking worse than this smut book. Different bodily fluids.
Are they peeing?
No.
Worse.
No.
Peeing would be better.
There's a cup.
There's two women, there's lots of poo, and there's lots of vomit.
Yeah, all right.
I'm
Anyways.
confused.
Anyway,
I haven't seen
yeet it.
any of these.
Let's
Eat
keep
it.
you innocent then, honey. So at this stage, he starts then pouring the wine straight on her vagina, and her internal monologue is exactly what I was thinking, which is, oh gosh, the UTI. So that's fun. My thrush is already kicking in just with second-hand exposure, so that's fine.
Absolutely. And, there's just this statement next, which is, he shoves 2 fingers into my mouth, gagging me while he fucks my wine-covered pussy on the floor of my bedroom at our parents' house. Briony, take a shot. And
Pussy
pussy,
was mine.
yeah, Ellie. Anyway, he just absolutely violates her mouth with his penis, and the whole time I am just like, ow, ow, ow.
There's a lot of penises in mouths in this book where it's deep in her mouth. They like to touch her like esophagus. In addition to just the general WAP references, I'm also happy that Ray Lee has a lot of natural lubrication to assist her in this book. Given that they don't use lube.
She's slippery, as they put it.
Then we get, reaching over to the nightstand, I pick up the empty wine bottle. I place the neck against her pussy and spin it around, letting it wet the glass. She gasps and pulls away. I slap her ass, forcing her to cry out. You'll come however I allow it. Do you understand? Yes, she whines. Her ass lifts higher while she tries to adjust her wrists tied behind her legs. Then stay still, I order, and place the bottle back on her wet lips and repeat the process, getting it ready. And then afterwards, we're going back to the cleanliness thing. He makes her lick it clean.
Herself off the bottle.
The whole fucking time. I am just like, what if that breaks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but also, weird sidebar.
May as well.
What have you done
Have you
with the wine
tasted
bottle?
yourself?
No.
Oh, absolutely.
You have?
Mm.
I've been contemplating it, but I haven't.
I've tasted
Claire,
breast
thoughts?
milk.
Yeah, I haven't done that. That's not something that I would like. It's also not something that I think my bowels would agree with, but that's fine.
I've got some in the freezer. Maybe I'll bring it to the next night and we can defrost some.
Well,
just whip some up and put it on top of our cocktails.
Lovely sidebar. We digress, as per usual. And then he just basically leaves her there lying on her bedroom floor being fucked by a wine bottle and goes back to family lunch.
Thank you, stepbro.
And this is also after he's fucked her throat and has cummed all over her.
So she's messy on the floor.
The messy bit is what gets me.
So messy.
Describes her as like tears running down her face, her mascara smudged, there's cum all over her face,
Lipsticks
everywhere, her hair's all matted, and it's like, she's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
I could not relate.
But like, why is she always crying?
Why is she always crying?
She's very
It
emotional.
might have something to do with the fact that his dick is touching the dangly thing in her throat.
We leave that moment and we get a flashback to the first time they fucked. So basically, she lost her virginity to a guy called Mike, who's an asshole, and he is very he takes that personally, and he's like, "No, my Rayleigh, I caveman. This is my coochie," and he basically goes up to her and is like, "Did he make you come?" And it's like, honey, no man has made a woman come when she loses her virginity.
It's not what happens.
Not in the history of ever. And she's like, no. And then he's like, well, time to teach you how that works. So one of the bits that annoys me in this book is obviously they're related, so shot. But something that bothers me equally is the fact that I could almost forget that if they're non-blood related. I could, What I struggled with was the fact that she is only 1 year younger than him, so there's not an age gap, but he was like, I'm going to teach you how to be sexual, essentially, because you're inexperienced. So that we have this whole discussion about what she likes and what she knows she likes and what her body responds to. But she was taught that. She was taught that by him, so her body associated arousal with those things. So
this is maybe
Stockholm
where
syndrome.
Oh, see,
yeah,
this is where I read too many Smutbusters, and this is it, because my brain did not run. My brain knows not to run with these things, because if you do, you end up in a terrible place.
Yes. So, for example, there's obviously the fantasy of a lot of men find schoolgirl outfits and that whole fantasy arousing, right? Part of that is actually because when they start to be aroused, when their hormones start kicking in, they're generally in school.
Oh, Briony!
So the people they're seeing that they have crushes on, that they are getting aroused by, are in school with them, and that is what your brain goes, oh, okay, it fires up your neurons, and you go, that's what turns me on.
The pussy is crying.
Literally. So sassy. But yeah, so there's that
That's
serious
disturbing.
note. Well,
This whole thing gave me Stockholm syndrome vibes.
yeah.
She lives like she's forced to live with him. He's her own like a real sense of
He
experience.
sabotages every relationship she has with someone else.
Yeah, look, I just saw it as they had really crazy, fucked up sex, and he ends up loving her. So I don't know.
That's
Let's
probably
just roll
how it
with
was
that.
intended.
But anyway, so then we're back to the current time. We're out of that flashback, and Rayleigh is getting her phone from her mum's place, which she left it there while she was being fucked with the wine bottle. And it is at that moment that she talks about her stepfather and how he's hot. And honestly, that's too much incest in this book. That's too much.
That's like we've stepped on the incest line, and then we've just kind of like we're like, oh, maybe it's all right, maybe it's not, because they're just stepbros, and then it's like, oh no, stepdad too.
And the quote that gives us this is, Cliff is hot. He takes care of himself, works out and eats healthy. He's got that salt and pepper thing going on, over 6 foot tall with dark green eyes and a gorgeous smile, just like his son. If I knew him in a different life, I'd probably fuck them both. At the same time, no questions asked.
I have many questions. Many. That being, how at the same time?
Hun, there's been
Angles.
many a books where we've had this
I
at the
get
same
it with
time.
the mouth thing.
Yeah, one's in the throat, one's in,
Spit roast.
or one is underneath
Yeah.
while she is sitting on top, and then we're not going into pornography anyway.
So, Rayleigh begins to reminisce on their first time fucking as well. She's like, whoa, what the fuck? I'm not your slut. But her vagina is like, oh, wait a minute. I think we are his slut. That means drink. And we jump into the next chapter. And Colton and his gentleman friends are off somewhere. And we find out that they're not with the crowd that we like to entangle with. They're with the bad boys. And apparently they go by a name called the Lords. Yes, let that sink in. The Lords. Like somewhat mafia, somewhat gang. Remember when we were doing the Crip signs last week? It's kind of like that. They work for a guy. His name's Ty. Let's call him Tyson. Ty-bye.
Wait. You were literally like, his name is Ty. Let's call him Tyson. Ty-bye. And I was like, his name is Tyson. Like, we don't need to call him Tyson because his name is Tyson.
There's also one of the things I love the most is that girls go, oh, you're like a really bad, like, powerful person. I'm just going to give you a nickname.
Ty-bye.
Teeny Tiny Tyson.
Ty-bye.
So, Ty-bye, he goes, if you so much as say one word about me or anything I have you to do to anyone other than who you see in this room right now, I'll take a knife and cut both of your Achilles tendons out. Which, like, ouch, if anyone has seen House of Wax, ouch.
Oh,
My
my
ankle's
God.
still funny. Why would you do that?
Alex
Yes.
swallows and his Adam's apple jiggles. And then I'll sit back and drink a glass of whiskey, neat, while I watch you crawl across the floor on your hands and knees with snot and spit covering your face, sobbing like a little bitch, begging me to end your pathetic fucking life. Oh, Tyson, that's a bit intense, my man.
Let me introduce you to my friend Ray Lee. She would very much like the way you do business.
Never really find out who the Lords are or what they do.
No.
They're just some weird
I think they're going to...
underground group that kill
I think
people.
there's going to be a sequel.
Yeah.
All right. So we're back in Rayleigh's point of view after that, and they're going to Mike's place for a party. Okay, Mike, who she lost her virginity to, who's just apparently a fun bag. Love that for her. We meet Mitch, Mike's brother. Mike is apparently in jail. That's also a fun tidbit that we're just going to save for later. And basically a whole bunch of things happen here that we don't really care about because it doesn't hold much relevance. To be honest, her best friend Tatum is a bit weird, likes a weird guy. There's a random girl that's apparently Alex's ex. It's a whole time. There's a lot of things here. I don't give a shit.
No.
What I do care about is Nate shows up and he tries to drag her out of the party. And at this stage, we also know he's been texting her and she hasn't been responding. And also Colton's then gone into her phone while she's sleeping and deleted all of the messages.
Because that's
there's
healthy.
That's so healthy. And so then basically she's being dragged out of the party when she makes eyes with Colt because he's there as well. Lol.
And you can tell from get-go that he is jealous. He is not very happy. And he, like, corners her in the hallway when she's trying to go to the bathroom. And he's like, I'm going to put a collar around your neck and parade you around this party. And Ray Lee is like, hot fucking damn. That sounds like a great fucking time. And then he goes naked on all fours with your face covered in my spit and my cum dripping out of your cunt.
Why is that necessary?
Yeah, there's a lot of unnecessary exchange of bodily fluids. If it floats your boat being collared and walked around a party, you know, you do you, but it's the spit on the face and the cum dripping. Like, just wipe it up first. Basically, we go from this and she's like, okay, yeah, cool, let's do that. Fuck me right now. And then Alex is like, knocking on the door, and he's like, it's ready. And we're like, what's ready? What's happening? And we're led out. We switched back to Ray Lee's point of view because we were in cults for a little bit. Sometimes the point of view is a bit confusing. Just ignore it. It's fine. And basically we're taken out to the granny flat on the property because that's very sexy. And she's like, oh, this isn't very sexy, but okay. I mean, I guess I'm still keen. And that's when we find that it is still under construction, but Nate is strapped to a chair and all the boys are there. The whole gangbang's there. And look, at this stage, Colt is like, Nate hasn't seen you beg. He doesn't understand your needs like I do. Let's show him what they are.
And this just sounds like the best idea Colt has ever had, doesn't it?
The quote is, and what are you going to do for me? His lips trail to my neck as he tilts my head to the side by my chin. Anything. I respond desperately. You're such a good girl, he praises, and my legs tremble at the thought of pleasing him.
Which is not the case. My legs tremble at the thought of pleasing myself. And then basically they're making Nate watch. So she's naked, she's zip-tied, he grabs her underwear and asks like why she was so wet. And she basically tells everyone that she is secretly a fairy and wants to be walked like a dog. Which is, no, It's not. It's a lie. I'm sorry, but almost close.
She says she's secretly a fairy.
I'm very. And basically, she explains to everyone that is why she's so wet. Happy days.
Look, with the cleanliness again, Coulter makes her lick her wetness off of her own underwear. I'm like, or you can just, fold them up, put them down next to you. Do that with the washer later.
Even I wouldn't have even been mad if he just smelt it, because that happens sometimes. Men smell them. I would have been all right with that. But no, he's like, actually, in fact, you should.
There is a market for panty sniffing.
There is. It's a strong market, apparently.
Then Colton decides to slap her in the vagina multiple times and repeatedly.
He wants to smack that bitch up.
He wants to make it red. I don't know why that's appealing for him, but it is.
Look, you have 3,000 nerve endings down there. Why do you need to slap them?
Anyway, he fucks the crap out of her, and they're all hard as rocks watching them. And then in the next chapter, he comes everywhere on her, and it's so very messy. And then it's ass fucking time. And there's oil. What oil is it? We're not told. But for argument's sake, to keep all the oils in the family together, let's say olive. Let's say olive oil.
No, I thought it was canola. I thought he was sticking with canola.
No, we're gonna stick with the family. We're gonna say it's all the oils.
Georgia.
We're gonna say it's all the oils. We've got canola, we've got the other oil that was in the other book, and now I've got olive. Welcome to the party, Olive.
We have had veggie oil, canola oil,
Sacramental oil.
potentially olive
coconut
oil.
oil.
We've already said olive oil. But you know what we haven't had? Coconut oil. Coconut oil can be
Or
used for fucking
just-
everything.
Or just lube, or just spit. If you've got nothing else, fucking spit.
Hang on. Let me just pop into the kitchen real quick. Whip up a concoction. I might have like a garlic infused blend. See if I can pull out.
I'm gonna say whip up some gnocchi.
Same.
Hang on a second.
Actual
Just give
same.
your asshole present. I just need to make some gnocchi. And then I'll be back. I won't put the gnocchi in your anus. But I'll eat it first.
No, he will. He will. Knowing him, he'll put it in the anus.
One gnocchi at a time.
Oh, the poor potato.
She shoots it out of me like a machine gun.
Someone has like a bowl of sauce waiting to catch them all.
It's like, those Gatling guns in the war.
They've just got her like in a little ball. Her knees are tucked in. They've just got her underneath their arms, and then So, if we seem a little bit out of it, we just had a massive interlude. So we figured out, we've decided that it's olive oil. And then we get this one. This is how she comes the hardest. My cock in her arse and my arm around her throat. Brilliant. Good job. It is.
Okay, yeah, look, this is disturbing. The term bodily fluid, wouldn't say that's a turn on for me, and honestly, it reminds me of all the crime shows I've watched.
Oh.
It is said, I kiss the side of her face, licking at the sweat, tears, smeared makeup, and bodily fluids, as if it's my favourite drink in the world, which it is. And again, one, concerning. Two, why is she crying so much?
I mean,
if she likes it.
No, look, it's a lot to take in.
It literally, it is.
But then we get this quote, and the quote is, that's it. Fucking come again, princess. Show them just how much you love this.
And
which again,
she does.
And we've established that we actually really enjoy it. The partner tells the person being fucked to come and to use them to come. That's really enjoyable for us. So thank you. Thumbs up.
But you know
all
what's
round.
not enjoyable? Is that Nate, her ex-boyfriend, has been forced to watch the pussy slapping, the
All
ass
of
fucking
this.
with oil, the whole thing. He's been watching. He is being held by the boy gang, by the boy group. They're all there.
Well, they all get
The boy band.
and they're all in
They
sync
are.
and just watching.
They're all at attention. And then Colton goes, all right, lads, off you go. Time to have your fun. So they take him out of his chair. They place him onto the coffee table covered in cum. So now his back is covered in Colton cum, which is like delightful. And then so he's on his back like a little turtle. He can't flip. And he's got the three members of the boy band around him. And they're like, this is a very turn-on moment for us all three of us. Let's have a little wanky wank. Out they come, onto his face and general torso area.
Have any of you guys watched Ali Wong's stand-up comedy?
No.
You need to, especially her most recent one where she's in a red dress, because the other two she's pregnant. In that one, she's talking about how when a guy is like you're giving him head and he's coming on your face and you have to look happy about it, even though they're like,
Well, imagine 3 of them around you. You're restrained, already stuck to a coffee table covered in cum. And you've got those 3 faces, like a turtle, unable to move. And there's just peni around. And they're all spraying shit at you.
Cole is like, look, hold that thought. I have a great idea. And because she's so exhausted from all the fucking that she's essentially blacked out, and he uses this opportunity. You know, I don't know if you guys have heard the joke, and it's like, oh, I'll get a tattoo of your name on my ass. Haha. Mm-hmm. Well, Colt goes, why get tattoos when I can just carve my name into her ass?
Can you imagine if he did
No.
C and then her butthole as no? Shantel, why didn't you think of that? Because that's good.
Oh my god.
Anyway, he's like, this looks tasty. I'm going to lick the blood off her bum. And does
That's
that.
not sanitary.
It's not. Anyway, next chapter, she wakes up the next morning and he's in her bed cuddling her and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? This is weird. Because
We don't cuddle.
No. Because, like, sharing a bed is weirder than being ass fucked in front of your ex while the new guys and his friends all come over their face. It's very weird. Everything's very strange. Sure.
And I mean, it's already weird enough that the guy that's fucking you in front of your ex and his friends is your stepbrother.
Take a shot.
But yeah, that's fine. To them, it's at this moment that she realizes she has been branded. And he's like, what's up? Why are you being so weird about it? I've just carved my name into your ass. That's just a casual Tuesday. And then she's like, well, how would you like it if I did that to you? And he's like, the quote is actually, do it, princess. You don't even have to tie me down. I'd gladly lie there while I bleed for you.
Colt goes to his drawer and he pulls out a pocket knife. And I actually found this funny and I kind of want to do this. Not the knife part, the other part. And it's like, it is the one Rayleigh got him for Christmas 5 years ago. Told him to go bleed to death after she gave it to him. So she's like, here's a knife, go fucking bleed to death. And then that was after he gave her a dildo that said, go fuck yourself. And I'm like, I would have.
That's a good joke. That is a good
That's
joke.
a good joke. And it's at this moment he decides to be like, you and me, monogamy. And it's at that moment that she's like, what the actual fuck? And runs away. And he has the nerve to be like, why are you mad?
It gets a bit extreme. He says, like right now, she's standing in front of me, silently crying, and all I can think about is throwing her to the floor, holding this knife to her throat while I fuck her wet cunt. And she begs for her life. Something to give me control over the situation again because I've lost her.
Yes, because that's what we want. We want them begging for their lives so we can exert control over their bodies. Yes.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Finn comes in and he's like, my dude, you two are going to kill each other, trying to prove that you love one another. He's like, just come out with this Gandhi shit. And it's like, mate, weren't you the one that was fucking one of her orifices at some point in this book? Anyways, man of the hour, tie-by. He calls them. He's like, my lords, we've got a job to do. Come on, gaggle of dicks, bring your guns. So off they trot. Then we're with Riley. Riley's driving away. Riley. You know what? They're one and the same right now. She can't sit
Riley!
on her left ass cheek. So she's very angry.
Because it's carved.
Because remember, it's carved. It's been carved up to say the word cult across her anus. Then there's this weird truck. Turns out she needs to be concerned about the truck because she runs into the rear end of it, much like Colt did to her the last night. And turns out the truck driver is Nate. Do we remember him? Remember
The one that was strapped to
ex-boyfriend?
the
Yeah.
chair while they jizzed on him. Like
The
a turtle.
on the back with the gaggle of dicks surrounding him being cummed on. It's him, he's back. He's like, right, I've had a shower. I'm raring to go.
Sun's out, comes out, let's go.
He thinks Colt and his boy
Gaggle
band
dicks.
really fucked me
NSYNC.
up. NSYNC. They fucked me up last night, so I'm going to get back at them by fucking up Rayleigh. So, he is the truck driver. Oh, shock, horror. She's rear-ended him. She's in pain. He pulls her out of the vehicle. And, oh no, she needs to go to the hospital. And he's like, guess what, bitch? Strap in, we're going shopping.
Nate is, of course, using her as the way to punish Colton because, of course, women have to answer for men's mistakes. Thumbs up. Love the patriarchy. So then we have this moment where she also thinks, she's like, oh, Colton will come. Colton will come and save me. But the thing is, he would have to know that something's happened there, wouldn't he? And he's used to you running off. He actually thinks it's quite fine. So he might not look for a hot minute, but that's also fine. So we jump in and we're in Nate's point of view. He knocks Riley the fuck out and then takes her back to the granny flat. Because he knows it's great to do fucked up shit in because that's what happened to him last night when he was a turtle. Immediately, we know that Nate does not want to be surrounded by a gaggle of dicks again. And so your red flag alarm is on alert. You're like, this is dangerous. This is not good. Mike shows up because he's out of jail now. The guy who took her virginity is out of jail and showing up in the granny flat where she is being tortured. And Nate's like, come on, man, we could share her. You can have a piece of her. And because apparently that's all she's good for. And he's like trying to stop Nate because he's like, not because it's the wrong thing, but because he's like, Rayleigh belongs to Colton and Colton is in this gang. Don't do it. I'll go deal with something and I'll come back. He knows what's going to happen. He fully knows and he leaves. So his life is forfeit in my mind. He's gone. We should also mention at this stage, he's also been recording all of this, hey? Because he was like, it started with a film. Why not end it with one? Because that's not traumatic.
That seems a bit... No.
Nate holds the phone to her face and says, tell Colton that you're my whore. And she's like, no. And then he slams her face into a coffee table. And like, my poor schnoz could not cope. She doesn't give in. She's still fighting, obviously, and she tries to get out of her restraints, and then he covers her fucking head in duct tape.
Like, from nose to, like...
Yeah, so she nearly can't breathe. That's when he then rapes her, and, like, honestly, this man is scum of the earth. We already knew this. But look, I get that it was in the trigger warnings that I didn't read when I read this book, and that's on me. But why did she have to be raped? Can you tell me if she was beaten and tortured, how would the story be better or worse? It's not of consequence. The only thing it does is give her trauma to then apparently justify her need for vengeance, which being kidnapped and tortured is enough. She didn't have to do that.
But then this queen headbutts him twice, which, mind you, that would fucking hurt herself. Then goes to reach for a nail gun, brings it front to him, tries to pull the trigger and then goes, oh, wait, the safety's on. That didn't work. He knocks it out of her. She reaches for it again, presses it against him this time, shoots him with a nail gun.
Beautiful. Food for thought, everyone. If you need to shoot someone with a nail gun,
make sure safety's off.
Surface.
Mike. Remember Mike? He just got out of prison. He rocks up. By this stage, Rayleigh has shot Nate multiple times.
Sat on the floor.
Rayleigh has now taken his shit on the floor.
Anyway. So Rayleigh's sitting on the floor, not shitting on the floor. She's still naked, and Rayleigh is not doing well. He comes up to her and she just shoots him right in the arm because he comes near her and he's like, all right, fuck, shit, you're crazy. I'll call Colt, whatever. He calls Colt in the next chapter. Colt's like, I'm on my way. Let's go. He gets there and Rayleigh is not doing good. She is still on the floor, still naked and partially bound, pointing the gun at whatever the fuck walks in the door, and understandable at that.
Yeah.
So Colt is like, what the actual fuck? But he's also very, very tender and loving in this moment, and I really, really like it. And it's just being so good. So they end up going back to the cathedral, which is like the Lord's house, tie by whatever the fuck his name is, Old Mate. And there's a doctor who is looking over her injuries, and Colt basically starts finding out more information about like what actually happened, and he is fucking fuming.
So at this stage, we go back into Rayleigh's point of view, and the doctor is asking the men to leave the room, and they're going like, no, and he's like, well, I would suggest that you get a rape kit done. And she's like, there's no need. I was awake when he raped me. And the room just goes fucking silent. This is after also she wakes up and she's still scared that the tape is on her and she's freaking the fuck out. And Colton is the one that calms her down. And Colt is basically at this stage just like in pure rage.
He's completely fucking ropeable right now.
And like she's not ashamed. And she shouldn't be. There is nothing for her to be ashamed of. But she's telling the room what happened. And the quote is, I will not bow my head. I will not be ashamed of what Nate did to me. He tried to make me a victim. I turned myself into a survivor. That's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Sometimes this takes people years and years and years to do. And the fact that she's doing it, I'm like, go girl. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, get there, honey bun.
Hell yeah.
We go into the next chapter, and basically they've had Mike with them the whole time, because basically when Mike called them to come get Rayleigh, they were at I think they were actually watching someone be tortured, and they just dropped and went, and they took Mike with them when they took Rayleigh out of the guest house, basically. And Mike is brought back into the room, and Rayleigh is like, hold the fucking phone. You're fucking lying, because he's trying to act like he didn't know what was happening, that he had only just stumbled in on it. And she's like, no, you were there. I remember exactly what you said. And she just starts reciting his lines back to him, which I fucking love. Mm-hmm. And he's like trying to call her a liar and all of that. So she basically tells the boys what he said and then slaps Mike and knees him in the balls. And like, seriously, fucking love it. Absolutely kill them all. But then Ty is keeping Mike somewhere while they sort everything out. And he's like, when you're ready just to do what you want with him, you just let me know and I'll bring him back. Like, no probs.
Just give me a buzz. I'll bring him. It's good.
Because we just have black sites just sitting around ready for personal vengeance quests.
Yes, absolutely we do. And then we go home and we get Rayleigh's point of view again. And they're basically, Colt gets her home, gets her into the bath, and he tells her that he loves her. And she gets very emotional and she asks if he still loves her even after what Nate did. And he's like, absolutely. And the quote is, don't think that what Nate did to you makes me see you any differently. And I really loved him in that moment. I was like, that is good. Thank you.
And he also, at that stage, like, so he's got her in the bath and he's helping her. And then he gets into the bath behind her and, like, cuddles her while they have that. And I was like, gosh, where was that nice, tender moment at any other stage in the book?
Any other stage in the book. Literally anywhere else. Like, when there was the mention of cum and stuff all over her face and that you
wine
wanted
bottles,
to literally put her under the streaming water, like, and drown the fuck out of her. Where was that? Like, anyway. Colt basically finds out about the video. He doesn't watch it yet, which good, because I think he might actually combust and kill everyone.
And I would like to make a note now, is at this stage that I'm like, look, maybe we've had some good recovery, we've had some growth, maybe people are just fucked up, but eventually they find their way into some sort of normalcy. I can be okay with that. You know, Rayleigh's asleep, he's put the phone in a drawer, he's like, I'm not going to look at it now, I'll look at it later when she's definitely taken care of and whatever. My approval of this relationship goes swiftly out the window.
It does indeed.
The rest of this book.
It does indeed. Because basically in the next moment, Rayleigh is like, I want you to fuck me. And she basically was like, I don't want Nate to be the last one to touch me. And Colt is just like, I can't do that. It's too soon. Your body needs time.
You're healing.
Your body needs time to heal. And she basically goes Kung Fu Panda on his ass and slaps the shit out of him multiple times.
Why is it Kung Fu Panda?
Sorry. Smacks the shit out of him and calls him a little bitch. And of course he does not like that. So he grabs her, puts her on the bed, and then just puts his dick in her without checking about her lubricant. And in this moment, she isn't actually as lubricated as initially expected, because usually she's very wet. And I was like, ow, screaming internally, this hurts. Basically, he gets her off, so she comes, he pulls out, doesn't come or anything like that, and she just is sobbing on the bed, just absolutely crying. And she ends up apologizing to him for making him do that, because he was like, I don't want to do it. And then after this moment, he's cuddling her on the bed, and he's like, "It's fine. It doesn't matter. It's okay. It's okay." And she ends up saying, "I love you," which this is just fucking trauma.
If the rape didn't happen, couldn't this have been a scene of him just comforting her after being kidnapped and tortured?
No time for recovery.
Now I approve the use of oil.
Oh,
Something
gosh.
needs to be happening up in there.
And the idea that she has pressure, like, obviously people pressure people into sex. That's not what I'm saying here. The idea that she's pressured him into sex and he's gone, yep, I have absolutely no say in this and I don't need to do any checking, like, he could have gone, all right, you want to be back in touch with your body, touchy-feely, let's, whatever, slowly start it.
That could have been it.
The amount of times he has had her on the verge of orgasm for fucking hours and then done it without the need to even put his dick in her cooch. Like, cause then we go into the next bit, actually, which is the epilogue, really, which is basically just Colt has obviously then watched the video that Nate took of Rayleigh being assaulted and flipped his shit and broken up the lounge room. So that's, that's that. And we basically get to this point where we're finally dealing with Mike.
To set the scene, they're in a cemetery. They hang Mike off a tree.
Let's say a tree.
By his arms.
It's Jesus.
And
he's on the cross.
He's JC.
JC.
Oh, God. Why was Mike in jail? We never know that.
Oh, we find out he was an ex-lord. So he was a lord, but he was apparently too much for them, so they kicked him out of the mafia gang, and then he went to jail.
But also, this whole time, I was picturing, like, you know how I had made the Step Brothers reference at the beginning of the book? Imagine if it was just a bunch of 40-year-old men. I can imagine if it was set like that. Like, imagine if that was the premise.
Jesus Christ.
And they live with Mum and Dad. It's not Dale and Brennan. It's Rayleigh and Colton. You can call me Dragon. You can call me Night Dog.
So he's hanging there. He's hanging out. And they hand Rayleigh a nail gun.
They went to Bunnings and they got the newest model for her.
And they're like, go your hardest. And so she's like, all right, deal. She tells the boys, strip him naked, as you do. That seems to be a theme here. And so she goes to take her first shot, and she decides the best place to do it is his penis.
She gives him a piercing.
She gives him a Prince Albert. She's like, I've seen that before, and I think you'd like it. No,
Dick.
I can't do this. No.
So she ends up, nailing the dick, not in a good way, and proceeds to do at least, so there was 50 rounds that could fit in the nail gun. I think she went through 3 lots. And he
exits the chat.
He is yeeted from the chat.
Anyway.
That's the end.
That's actually it. The book ends with her vengeance quest and Mike's dead and Nate's dead and they're so happy and together. There are some weird...
Step bro.
Oh, fuck off.
Right.
Some of the shit we didn't care about was she had a friend called Alex that got a boob job from her mum and she was dating a shitty guy and no one's heard from her. Her name was Raven and it was Alex's ex.
And also,
and
there's mention of a crazy bitch that, like, when the lords went out to, like, kill a guy, the crazy daughter of one of the guys.
Daughter.
Yeah.
I think she's going to come back because I think Finn's going to have it on with her.
Finn or what's the other one?
Yeah,
James.
I don't know which one it was. Whatever one got, like, punched in the face by her.
I'm assuming there's options for a book about each of the guys with a girl.
Yeah.
So there's obviously some bits that you could look into and be like, oh, there's some open endings there, but we don't care.
Look, at this point, I've pictured enough about gnocchi and
We're done.
Yeah, look, your girl did no homework on this one. There's a playlist that has been put together in the book, and the songs include Joke's on You by Charlotte Lawrence,
Which is from the Suicide
Bad
Squad
Moon.
soundtrack, by the way. It's a goodie.
Bad Moon by Hollywood Undead, In the End by Black Veil Brides.
The next song on the list is Tate McRae, and I found that very surprising. And also, the last song on the playlist
Which
is actually one of my
love.
favourites.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Middle of the Night,
Princess.
Doom, Hey? I don't know.
I love that song. It's on my fantasy playlist.
It is. It's on mine too.
That was a journey.
Anyway, guys, we're going to fucking finish that up right now. Just so you're all aware, next week We're doing a fishbowl episode. We've asked you for your recommendations on our Instagram story. You have provided the same. We are adding them to the fishbowl, and then we will pull out one of the other.
You have provided same as per our request.
Can you tell I'm working too much? So yes, next week we're doing fishbowl. The week after we've actually got From Blood and Ash. We've already pulled that.
And then what we're going to do as well is ask you to send us questions. If there is some weird shit you want us to answer, whether it's personal, whether it's book related, like for example, which Sarah J. Maas Batboy you would like to fuck, we will be happy to answer those questions.
All of them at once.
Did your vagina tear during childbirth?
No.
Only one of us can answer that question, and the answer is yes. I provide that to you now.
That's a little sprinkle of what's to come, guys.
If you're wondering, it was 8 stitches,
Oh,
internal
Ellie,
and external.
No! Ellie, please, if you would like to watch the chaotic videos we do, that is YouTube. If you would like to listen to us, it's wherever you find your
wherever you find your popcorn.
Please,
Point Cinema down the road.
please follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Instagram is probably the best way to get in contact with us. TikTok is just for our loose content, and also it's probably even looser on our personal pages.
Jesus Christ, it is.
We're all about being loose.
Loosey goosey.
Looseness. Apart from Ellie, because she's healed.
Anyway, on that note, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much.
Redact that. Redact it.
Good fucking night.